guys, welcome back to another video. This time we're going to be predicting the Chicago Bears record for the 2023-2024 NFL season. Alright guys, so right now I'm watching this, or I'm looking at the schedule right in front of me that you guys can see. And compared to the other one, this was looking pretty fire. It's pretty colorful, it's pretty cool. I like it so far. And however, this Chicago Bears team is one where I legitimately think they might be able to go 0-16 in this season. Because week 1, we have a home game against the Green Bay Packers, and I think they're going to lose this game because, again, a lot of the things that happen in the Packers season depend on Jordan Love. Because if he doesn't play at least to the level of a guy like maybe Baker Mayfield or Geno Smith or Daniel Jones or Kirk Cousins, one of those players, he has to play like them because the entire Green Bay Packers team is contingent on good quarterback play because they've been spoiled with that since really the turn of the century with Brett Favre and then going into Aaron Rodgers, and maybe the new era to start with Jordan Love could continue on their quarterback play, but they have to be successful where guys like Christian Watson and Aaron Jones won't be able to shine. But I do think he'll be at least mediocre, so I give a win to the Packers. Then there's an away game at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and so far your Chicago Bears are 0-2. Again, Baker Mayfield is not as bad as people say he is. He's a solid quarterback, and I do still like, the organization the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. I think that they have a lot of talent on their team and that they still have a future as long as they get a couple players back and start to reorganize their team they had a couple years ago. Because obviously they lost some guys, mainly, Tom Brady. But the rest of their team, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and guys like that, they're still high up on that list. Very, very good players. I like them a lot, and I think that they're going to be successful. Then, guys, you see what I'm looking at here. At the Kansas City Chiefs. Loss. I don't even know what to say here. I don't have to say anything. Moving on. Then we have versus the Denver Broncos. And they made a couple off-season moves to improve their team. I like Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I think they're very underrated. And I think bringing Sean Payton in is very key. He's going to help the culture around the team. So I'm going to give a win to the Broncos in this one. They could maybe not finish last in the AFC West. Obviously it's not an accomplishment to say that. But they play in a very, very difficult division with the likes of Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs, and all those teams in that division. So maybe finishing third is not the worst thing in the world for them. Then we have at the Washington Commanders, and this is going to be a loss for the Chicago Bears again. And this might be a team that doesn't win a game this year because, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and I don't see a team where I can say, yeah, they'll probably win this game. You know what I mean? And the Commanders, I like Chase Young on defense. For one thing, they have a very strong D-line, I think. And as well as their offense is not too bad. Terry McLaurin, I think, will have a bounce-back year. That's just one of the things I think because he didn't have a really bad year last year. It wasn't up to his high standards. So we'll see if he can go back to kind of the way he used to play as in last season. But yeah, I have a lot of hopes for the Commanders, even though I don't think they're going to be that good. I think they're going to finish last in the NFC East. But they're still a good team. They just don't have everything to compete in that division. Then we have versus the Minnesota Vikings, and another loss for the Bears. And I just really, really wonder to myself why the NFL gave one of the worst teams in the league, one of the toughest schedules in the league. I think the same thing with the Carolina Panthers. Even though the Minnesota Vikings aren't that team, they still have Justin Jefferson. They still have, don't sleep on Alexander Madison. Don't sleep on my boy Alexander Madison. I think that he's going to have a decent year being the number one back, unless anything changes. And I think Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback. People will sleep on him too. Don't sleep on my boy Kirk Cousins. He's pretty good. And I just think that the Vikings are a very solid team. And they're obviously better than the Chicago Bears. And it sucks is they have to play this team twice, as do the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions. Then we have a home game against the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is one where I thought to myself for a moment, hey, the Raiders lost Derek Carr. They lost Darren Waller. So maybe the Chicago Bears put up a little fight here. Maybe they could, I don't know, potentially look like they're going to win this game. And then Devontae Adams and Jimmy Garoppolo will take over. And I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts about what you think is going to happen with Josh Jacobs this year. A lot of that Raiders season is very contingent on having him play. And I think they need him a lot because he's obviously had the most scrimmage yards last year of any player. So he's very important, but I think that if he plays, they'll be very good. And if he doesn't, that'll be very scary for them. But even if Josh Jacobs doesn't play, I still think the Raiders will win this one. Then away at the Los Angeles Chargers. So finishing up that entire schedule against the AFC West. Another loss. And it's just too bad for the Bears. I'm not liking it at all. And I don't really need to say much. I mean, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. That's all I should have to say to you to understand the Bears are going to lose this game. Then we have away the New Orleans Saints. And I think this is one they could win. But again, at the Superdome, if this was at Soldier Field, I would give them a win. I would say, you know what? I'm feeling it. Maybe they get a win. But no, they don't. Of course not. They don't win a win because they can't compete with the likes of Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. And even though those guys, I mean, I hear people saying Michael Thomas is going to win Comeback Player of the Year. And, I mean, as long as Alvin Kamara is not in a jail cell, he's a top 15 running back in the league. So, you know what I mean? It's too much for this team. And so far, they are 0-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think they're 0-9 if I counted right. And it's just really it baffles me why the NFL gave them such a tough schedule. This is a really tough schedule. Anyway, then we have one of the easier games they're going to play this year. Actually, the easiest game they'll play all This is a game where I think that they will lose to the Carolina Panthers just because in our Carolina Panthers prediction video, guys, go check that out. That will be linked in the description. We compare, obviously, the main thing is when we do these rankings, right, we compare the rosters mostly because it's one of the best bases to go off of until you really see each team play. And so we compared the rosters, and I looked at them and I said, Justin Fields, Eddie Jackson, Darnell Mooney, and DJ Moore. Those are the four. Those are the best players on that Bears team. And then I compared it to the Carolina Panthers, and then I saw there was Bryce Young on that team. There was Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark. I mean, there's a bunch of other guys, so I'm actually just blanking in my head right now. I can't even think. And to hear more about what I said about the Panthers, again, you guys can check out that video. It'll be linked in the description. And I'm actually blanking right now. It's kind of scary. But they have J.C. Horn as well. And they just have pretty loaded. I mean, obviously not loaded, but you know what I mean? They got some decent players in that team where they could compete against lower level teams, and they will probably beat the Bears in this one. All right, here we go. And then we have away at the Detroit Lions, another loss. Away at the Minnesota Vikings, another loss. And then comes their bye week, where they're going to say, listen, we're 0-12, or is that 13 or 12? I don't know. We're 0-12 or 0-13. We got to turn something around. So in this bye week, I think if they get a win at all, it'll come in this back stretch of the season. So let's do it. Let's see what happens. In the back stretch of the season, they have a home game against the Detroit Lions. I think they'll be fired up, coming back from their bye week. And if there's any chance they win a game this season, it's this game, really. Obviously, they could beat those Arizona Cardinals. I see your eye in that later on the season, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to give a loss against the Detroit Lions here. And again, I think you just look at that roster for the Detroit Lions. There's too much juice. There's nothing for the Bears to do. I mean, they're just one of the worst teams in the league unless they make major adjustments further on this offseason. And next offseason, they have to compete. And it's really disgraceful to their fans, in my opinion. I just think they're going to have an awful showing. I think they could possibly go 0-16 or 0-17, which would make them the worst team in NFL history. Then we have away at the Cleveland Browns, and this is another one where, they're going to lose. I mean, the Browns aren't even a great team, and the Bears are still going to go down because, like, come on. They're the Bears. They have literally no one good on that team. I think Justin Fields is going to have more rushing yards than probably all their running backs combined. Justin Fields is, I mean, if I was Justin Fields, I'd demand a trade, honestly, right? Because you have the best, a top 10 fantasy quarterback in the league. Mind you, he's not a real top 10 quarterback, but just because of the fantasy rushing status puts him up there. But he is one of the best running quarterbacks we've seen maybe ever. I mean, he only came on at the end of last season, but we'll love to see what he's going to do this year. And I think that he'll be rushing for 100 yards a game, and it'll just be like he's just going to be doing it all for them. He's going to get so frustrated. You're going to see it throughout the season. He's going to be playing his very best, and they're going to get no results. And I would demand a trade if I was him, but another loss. Then we have home versus the Arizona Cardinals. And for all you Bears fans out here, this is it. This is your time. The one guy that has come to save your franchise, Justin Fields, is going to do his things and give the Bears their first and only victory of the season, in our opinion, and to save them from being the first ever team to go 0-17, I predict they're going to go 1-16. Obviously, with that being said, I already predict them to lose to the Falcons and the Packers again. But it's just one thing to look forward. Always find the bright spot in something a really bad season to find that they have Justin Fields. They have a couple key pieces on their roster, the Bears. And I think they'll build on from that. But they're going to win at the Cardinals. Yes. And they'll lose at the Falcons and Packers to finish off the season 1-16. Congratulations, Chicago Bears. Thank you guys so much for watching. And although we predicted the Bears to have one of the worst records in NFL history, they could surprise everyone and have a pretty decent season because of what they did last year. I mean, they beat the 49ers in the opening week of the season. Who's to say they can't do that again and go to a 5, 6, or 7 win season? But again, guys, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments, and thank you for watching.